another interesting question, how do we find our purpose? Now, this is really important for a couple of reasons. One is that if we don't have a direction in life, we can't have meaning, we're going to be miserable. And the reason why it's doubly important is because in our modern individualistic, nihilistic, meaning there's no meaning to life and so on, we cannot find purpose and it makes people miserable. So society, in a lot of Hollywood movies like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and things like that, they make fun of this idea that you can even have a purpose or meaning to life. And that's actually really bad for your mental health and your happiness. Okay, so purpose is really important. So how can we practically find a meaning or purpose to life, right? I'm going to give two short answers, and I'll be very interested in what Dusk thinks. There's one way, which is a really simple way. What religious texts do, especially I can really say based on the Quran, but most accurately, in those texts you will hear impossible things that could not be known at that time. For example, how, the Big Bang or the growth of the embryo within a human being. I've discussed this on YouTube and with other people before who are atheists or agnostic, and they've got no possible way of explaining how those things are in the Quran. Now, why is it important to have those things in the Quran? Because one, it puts these amazing things in the Quran that for you to realize that the author is God. And then it tells you what the purpose of your life is, which is to be at one with God. What does that mean, one with God? God doesn't need anything from you. God just wants you to be a good person. And that actually ties in perfectly with what psychology tells you. If you want to be at peace, you want to be out of a state of anxiety, you need to get to a state of flow. And how do you get to a state of flow? You get involved in something good and completely self-involved, and you take yourself out of the center of the universe, and you make a wider purpose for yourself, and you put other people at the center of your universe. You make the world a better place that way, and you feel much happier. If you're going to feel anxious and miserable, you put yourself at the center of the universe, and you say, it's all about me, it's all about my rights. It doesn't mean you don't have rights, it just means you don't get too inner focus. That's one way, but I want to quickly, that wasn't really my main way of finding a purpose. Oh, it actually is, to be honest. It's a very simple way. Here's the book, tells you the purpose, and the book also has evidence that it's written by God, right? But a more practical way that everybody has, that is constantly telling them about their purpose, is that when you do, sorry, I'm shouting. I'm not sure if I should be shouting.
No, you should.
I should be, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I watched an earlier video and I was shouting and you were talking very nicely and it was coming out nicely. But anyway, yeah, our bodies are constantly telling us our purpose. As soon as you do something bad, you feel bad and you have a sense of pain, mental health problems. If you're selfish and you just watch TV programs and you don't do things for other people, you will feel depressed. And that is borne out by psychology.
7 minutes left till 1 hour.
Cool, thank you. So when you're responsible and doing things for other people, you feel better, and that is a guide to what your purpose is. It's just like any old device. Let's say I get my phone and I put it in water. If it's not 100% waterproof, it will malfunction. If you do, even if I walk backwards, because my body is designed to walk forwards, if I do something that's not within my design, what I was intended to do, it hurts me. I'm gonna, my muscles are gonna start aching very quickly if I walk backwards, right? After 5 minutes, right? But I can walk for half an hour, 1 hour, whatever, forwards, and no problem. So, in short, is if you work towards your design or your purpose, even if you don't quite know it, you will feel happier. It's a feedback mechanism, kind of like what Dusk was mentioning earlier about happiness. Happiness is an evolutionary process that gives you feedback to see if you're doing what you should be doing, and you feel pain when you do what you should not be doing. Any thoughts?
Oh yeah, I mean this is a great observation about feedback. system was built, that has evolved in a mammal, which we happen to be the conscious entity of a mammal. And it is true, feedback, happiness. The more you give happiness, the more you feel happiness, because it comes back to you. And that I would class as, it's not an addiction as such, but we have dopamine. Dopamine can be an addiction, but is it not a positive addiction? If they were addiction, where we can also become addicted to hate, like some of the speakers that come here, and their dopamine rush comes from spooging and dialect of ridicule and belittling. So yeah, it is a feedback, and it's purpose is something that I believe is a personal journey. And I believe it's a personal journey that a government, I'm always going to refer back to governments, should allow you to go, and should not dictate your personal journey unless it infringes upon other people's lives and with violence or whatever. There are obviously, clearly, restrictions where...
How do you personally find your purpose?
Well, for me, my whole childhood was spent learning how to be creative through art, thought, and building cities, unbelievably. And so I've always had this, brought up in an environment where the idea of building parks, towns, was just commonplace and just normalised.
So it sounds like you found a beautiful way to express doing something good for the world, right?
Doing something good.
Was there any time, because I'm trying to get to describe a process by which you can find purpose. Was there any point in time when you were against and you're feeling miserable? You're doing, what describe some of that?
It's amazing. Unfortunately, learning about history, learning what it means to be human, is tragic. Because from my point of view, eventually we live and then we don't live.
But was there any time when, like, we're always taking paths, right? Yeah. Okay. So right now you're on a path where you're doing things here. You're being a sort of activist, and so in the sense of trying to make the world a better place. I don't know what other word there is for it, right? Okay. And then you try to do it through your job as well. You try to do something productive to make the world a better place. Now you could be let me put it this way. Do you? I think we had a bit of a discussion before at some point. Do you make lots of skyscrapers for office blocks?
No, I don't want to go into too much detail, but let me describe something.
So I think that would be less meaningful. That's what I meant.
When I have done created a project for a community, guess what? I got the community in.
Yeah.
Guess what? It wasn't just my designs over that community. I got them to design, and unbelievably, I mean, this blows my mind even to this day. It's cheaper to produce a landscape or a building when you have local artists, the community coming in and producing original artwork from their community, whatever that community is. It's actually cheaper doing that than going to a catalogue and going, oh, we'll have that piece of design work, which is standardised, which has no meaning, which has no relationship, and the rewards are unimaginable when the community actually feel that they help the building or help the landscape that they live in, because they now feel part of this community because they contributed to the growth.
You're not talking about monetary rewards, although I'm sure I'm sure it worked out money-wise. I'm sure it does. Yeah, but kind of like, but the value you got was you felt good, you made a difference, you could see the people you worked with and you interacted with them, and you felt fantastic about it, right?
A passion that they'd never known before. They never knew.
Perfect. So also you got into a flow state, which is what we were talking about before. When you do something you really care about and it totally makes sense, you can be totally absorbed by it, and that I would describe as part of finding your purpose. Like, if you're in a flow state and you feel like you're doing great work and making a difference, that is in a direction of your purpose. And I had a sense also that you're really trying to dig deep inside to question what you're doing. Like, don't just create. You could be creating things 100% for profit, and taking down lots of old trees and making the world a better, worse place. Sorry, but you don't do that. You're like, you dig down, you dig deep down into your conscience, and you listen to that exactly what Viktor Frankl said. So anyway, we're kind of running out of time, and I really want to talk about. If you want to wind up on the purpose thing.
So purpose, as I said before, is being allowed to create. For me, my own idea of it is allowed to create your own self and explore that, and given time and space to explore that in whatever form or fashion that may come in.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know if I was going to wrap up. The thing I worry most about modern day society is that it's drummed into you in a very sly way. And what they say is, religion, that's the enemy. They're trying to force a purpose on you. But in reality, a lot of these movies tell you there's no purpose. And I think that's really bad for your mental health. Don't believe that. Follow what your body is telling you, and basically it tells you to do good things, and you will find that there'll be more and more purpose in your life. But if you want, I would say, a very precise definition of what your purpose should be, it has to be something so important that it goes beyond life, as it were. Like if your purpose was just to collect money, okay, then when you die, you don't get to take it anywhere, and there's a very limited sense of that purpose. So if here's an idea for your purpose, to become infinitely good, then this life is just one stage of that process, and you get to another life and another life maybe. Anyway, so that's just an idea, and that's what you get from religion, and that gives that makes you it really helps you in life, basically, because if you feel like this life is not the end and you're living towards a greater purpose and something more meaningful, it can really be practical in making you make better choices and feel more excited about life every day. Anyway.